the last thing that people are going to talk about or hear about is Donald Trump. The Trump fatigue, the Trump revulsion, the Trump disgust, the just sheer idea that somehow or another we can get away from this. And I would say, starting with Halloween of 2027, if I were advising a candidate, I said, every time you use Trump's name, you got to put $1 in a jar. And we can't have more than $21 in the jar at the end of the week. Why do I say 21? Because, well, you got 3 times a day you can mention it. That's it. That's it.
Now for our listener questions. This is a segment we love because they are so good. James Mike in Louisville, Kentucky says, beyond making corruption a centerpiece of the 28 Democratic agenda, should we offer a plan for how we're going to claw back ill-gotten gains from the people who traded their support for favors from Trump?
Well, I love Louisville. It's good to hear from you. And my idea is this, and take it to believe it you want. Have a real accounting. Everybody gave money to Trump, gave money to the stupid ballroom, gave money to the Kennedy, to all Trump entities, and get a total. But let's just say that country is the XYZ widget company. And I would make it clear that you supported Trump and Trump entities to the tune of $100 million. When you give $115 million to a designated foundation or charity, you will get no meeting with anybody in this administration to discuss anything about the federal government's relationship with the XYZ widget company. But we're going to move on and allow you to do your penance to make up for the stupidity of what you did. And if you do that, we will at least listen to what you have to say. Absent that, you literally don't exist in the minds of this government.
Hope they do it. Bob in Boise, Idaho asks, is there a chance of Donald Jr., Melania, or another Trump running in 2028? Bob, no, they won't. Sorry, I mean, Melania would never run for anything. But let me tell you this. This is just obviously conjecture. But come 2027, Trump is going to realize he's going to hate to give up the limelight. And it's going to be driving him crazy. And I would not put it beyond him. He still is likely to have a lot of clout within the MAGA movement and the party. And particularly if Rubio is running against Vance or somebody else Cruz is, I would not put it beyond Trump to say, okay, I'm going to support the person that takes Donald Jr. on the ticket. It's an insane idea, but of course, insane ideas are not foreign to Donald Trump.
I have a little bit of a different take. And I'm going to give, this is the advice I'm going to give to potential 2028 candidates. I believe, and think about this, when even 27, toward the end of 27, the last thing that people are going to talk about or hear about is Donald Trump. The Trump fatigue, the Trump revulsion, the Trump disgust, the just sheer idea that somehow or another we can get away from this. And I would say, starting with Halloween of 2027, if I were advising a candidate, I said, every time you use Trump's name, you got to put $1 in a jar. And we can't have more than $21 in the jar at the end of the week. Why do I say 21? Because, well, you got 3 times a day you can mention it. That's it. That's it. And you can maneuver against him, and you just say, look, every person here understands exactly what this threat is. Every person here feels the same way. But somebody wants a conversation about themselves and their future, and it's incumbent on me to give you that conversation. I really, really believe this. And I think we're right now when the anti-Trump frenzy and people are the most clever attacks on Trump are the ones that are getting kind of public recognition. I think the political climate is going to be, people are just sick and tired of this son of a bitch, and they just would rather not talk about him. Now, investigate him, yes. But I think people want to move on, and that desire is going to be so manifest. It's going to really, really have an effect on the election.
Well, I agree. We're talking past each other because I think that's true. I think he will still have clout among some of the avid MAGA types. And if he makes a demand on a Republican potential nominee, it could be death for the general election. But he will not be an inconsequential figure in that group. It's a minority of a minority, and I wouldn't put anything beyond that. But
Would I put anything past him? But I just think we however bad shape he is in now, I don't think we can calculate what it's going to be like going forward.
yeah,
And it's already you can see that it's loosening in MAGA bad. A lot of MAGA doesn't like. It's an interesting thing is when you look at what a lot of them are saying, they're really divided over there. I mean, really, really, and divided in very, very rigid ways that we don't quite understand because we don't live in that culture. But the Spectator, which is a big kind of right-wing journal, it was a big anti-Clinton thing. It's been around forever. I just picked up the latest issue. I wish I had it in front of me. In a number of anti-Trump articles in there,
wow,
it was just presupposed. It was just, the magazine literally supposed that who's to vote for the crack up of MAGA. They said it's already happening. That's the Spectator.
right.
But we way because we don't pay attention to right-wing media or right-wing politics. A lot of people don't fully appreciate how big the current fissures are in that kind of MAGA world, if you will.
On all kinds of issues,
Right.
anti-Semitism. There are huge fights going
Huge.
on that, and I'm
Ukraine.
sure. And there are going to be a huge fights within a couple weeks, if not sooner, on Venezuela.
Huge.
It's just and what some people out there don't really realize is they think that the right wing media is Fox News. Fox News is very important; it's very big, but there is a whole slew of right
Oh,
wing media influences.
yeah,
I mean, it was
yeah.
obviously the late Charlie
Direct,
Kirk, but yes, but Ben
direct,
Shapiro and
right.
it's
Megyn
just
Kelly.
yes, it's
But,
Candace is a Candace Owens. I mean, it's a
yeah.
huge group. So
Joe Rogan, I'm not sure he's a real right winger, but he's a real
uh,
whatever.
he's
He's got real power, and
he's
he's
more
trying to.
interesting and smarter, I think,
I think.
than most. That's for
But
sure.
look at Steve Bannon,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
he's probably just honestly the smartest one over there. But I mean, the whole thing is
Well,
crumbling.
James, he'd be better off with you if he took a bath. I guess you've said that several
He
times.
took
But
my. I never heard from Stevie on my debate proposal, man. Come
I
on,
know.
let's talk about Rob Ryan and let's talk about Charlie Kirk, and you're not gonna win that. You ain't gonna win that argument. By the way, why can't you think of the name of your own podcast?
He
Why do you
stole
got
yours, James. He
stole it?
stole yours. Damn it.
Well, I stole it from somebody else, so I guess everybody can steal it from me.
All right. It's probably not right that I steal questions from New Orleans, but I'm going to. John in New Orleans asked, by ignoring or outrightly justifying the corruption of the food and child care scandals in Minnesota, will Democrats turn this into the latest woke debacle by arguing it isn't so bad or it's a racist attempt to smear Somali Americans? John, if they did that, you'd be absolutely right. I think they're not going to do that. I think Tim Walz's decision not to run for reelection is an important one. And I think now there's a very, very good piece by Jonathan Cohn in the Bulwark on what this is really all about. And it wasn't just all Somalis, although they certainly played a role. And it really is a bad scandal. It can't be swept under the rug. And I think it's really important now that the Democrats, as well as Republicans, acknowledge that and go after it. The previous U.S. attorney did. The current U.S. attorney is doing that. And anyone who wants to downplay it, I think, is making a huge mistake.
I agree. And what I hear all the time in the media is, well, they say that you can't talk about this issue. This issue is being undercovered. Well, you're covering it right now.
Yeah.
You're covering it by
Yeah.
saying I don't know. It's certainly 100% awareness of this among any Democrat that I know. It's been all over the media, But the greatest bogeyman to say, they won't allow you to say this, but fraud is bad. I will just go out and say this. Now, you can't say this in modern America, but I'm courageous enough to tell you fraud is bad. Fraud is even bad when it's in Minnesota. Yes, listen to me. Fraud is bad. I'm courageous. Like, I think that the governor did make the right decision. I just would bet anybody, yes, there's something here. At the end of the day, I would bet anybody without knowing anything other than history that something will be there, but will not be the magnitude of what we told.
Well, Jonathan Cohn, the Bulwark, who I don't know him, but boy, he
He's
is good.
smart. He's smart. I don't know him either, but
He said that the Minneapolis Star Tribune has been covering this extensively for years. I mean, that's the local paper that they look.
Well, yeah, you always throw something in, Al, but God damn it, no one covered it. Yeah, the biggest newspaper in Minnesota has been covered it. You just can't. You always got to be the naysayer. You always got to be negative about everything. You always want to come with your stupid ass facts, and no one wants to hear that. We want our story. They've just let this go, and Minnesota got caught up in a twirl of communism and I don't know shit. Yeah,
I just
right.
love James. I love woke. I just love woke.
Yeah, absolutely. And oh my God.
Our next question comes from Bliss in Joe McCarthy's hometown, Appleton, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
Good question. Should Democrats change their strategy at all in light of the Wall Street Journal December 30th article stating that Mar-a-Lago sourced Jeffrey Epstein's supply of young women? That's a really good piece, and it did say that. It said that basically Epstein got his women. He would send the nefarious Ghislaine Maxwell over, and they would get women who were working at Mar-a-Lago and bring them over to Jeffrey Epstein. Some of them were as young as 16 years old. And it is true that by 2000 or by 2003 or 4 that Trump kicked him out. But he knew he must have known this was going on. And one woman came back and said she was sexually assaulted after she went over to Epstein's, one woman from Mar-a-Lago, and they never reported that to the police. I'm sorry for that long buildup, but it really was a great story that kind of got lost in the holidays. So I guess the question after my long build-up from Bliss is, should that affect how Democrats talk about this?
Look, I think the way that America talks about this, it's important that what's read to court is, yes, this is a story about horrific crimes, and you cannot look at these women and watch them talk about what their lives are like about this, how this ruined their lives, how gross this whole thing was. And there's, according to what I read in the press, there's 2 million more documents are going through. Forever, I hope you're listening, Sheldon or Jamie, but you should try to get the votes on your committee to call someone in the Justice Department and ask them where they are in response to congressional subpoena duly signed by the president to turn everything over. What have you got now? How much you have left to review? What's the process? When can we expect it? Because to people, the real issue in this story is that there was a feeling in this country, and it really got accelerated in this century, to be fair, but it exists for a long time. It's always been there. It's paranoid style American politics, Richard Hofstadter or whatever. And that is that there's elites and they get to do one thing. They always get the best table in the restaurant. They get to go first in the airport line. They get the best investment firms. They get the best doctors. They get the best everything. And they get to play by one set of rules. The rest of us, poor slob fucks, we get a parking ticket. We got to pay it. If we don't, they boot us. We go downtown. We don't get that. And boy, this was accelerated by the decision that President Obama made, really bad, really damning, to not go after the banks at post the 2008 financial crisis. And so the reason this story won't go away, it can't go away, we don't really need to kick it that hard. We started to bring it up. The explanation is it fit into a worldview that to be fair, no particular right left ideology owns it, but it certainly is part of the right wing narrative that these elites, they get away with everything and they get to do what they want, and the rest of us get to back end of the thing. And the Epstein thing digs so deep into that sort of thought process. I don't think they can get rid of it. You just can't wash it away because it's too confirming to too many people that I was right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Kathy in Southwest Florida says, "Do you agree a better effort after winning both houses in 26? That's a good start, Kathy. Would be the impeachment of Supreme Court justices rather than Trump. It might produce better results." Kathy, James says you can only say Trump's name 3 times a day.
We're not yet.
I,
We're not. We're
I would
talking about this.
I would say Democrats don't use the word impeachment at all. It's not going to happen. I think it just play. I watched Caitlin Collins last night, David Axelrod, for whom I have great respect, uh, debating a Republican gunslinger named Scott Jennings, for whom I have no respect. And I think Jennings kind of trapped him by saying Democrats are just going to go after impeachment, and David kind of turned it to other issues. That's what Trump wants to say. They're going to go and make a political circus out of this. It's not going to happen. There are all kinds of other issues to run on. And it's not to say, if you look at the standard for impeachment, that there aren't deserving people, but I just think it's a non-starter, James.
So the question is, if I'm correct that the country's sick of Trump, that the country wants to move on, and if I'm correct that I think the Democrats are going to win 2028. So the question is, what do you do about the Trump era? People will say, good people, well-meaning people, look, it's a terrible mistake. People are sick of it. We got 398 electoral votes, proofs in the pudding. When pollsters ask people what do they want to do, they want government that, doesn't look back, that concentrates on their lives. Assume all this. Then what is the smart decision? And I want us to be known as the Nuremberg Democrats. You can't. Maybe it's not the savvy thing to do in 2026 or 2027, but there has to be deep consequences to this. And I don't. And I think we should be very clear that the next AG is going to look at possible criminality and pursue it wherever it is. But do you use the problem doing impeachment? We've impeached him twice. After a while, it starts to lose its significance, and it looks like
Right.
that. But what you should do is keep building a case to build a case that you can prosecute him in 2029.
Well, the model that I would suggest more than Nuremberg would be the South African Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I think people deserve to know what happened. There may be a few people who deserve indictments, but I think if you name some, retired federal judges, people of great standing, Republicans as well as Democrats, and just give them a year full subpoena power. I think that worked in South Africa. And I think it could work here. But it's a tough choice, James, because awful things happen, terrible things
Yeah,
happen,
I'm
and ignoring terrible things is a mistake. But getting into impeachment and everything, I think could be a mistake
you
too.
know, I always say that everything is contained in the Bible. And in this instance, I would describe myself as an Old Testament Democrat.
Okay, James, I always say the toughest questions for you for last. I'm sorry. This is. Please don't take it personally because this is really going to be a hard one for you.
Uh,
But I'm going to give it to you anyway, and it comes from Kingsley in Staten Island, New York,
oh
and
wow!
that is: do you think Bill Clinton would have defeated George W. Bush in 2000 despite being impeached in '98?
Oh God! Yeah, I mean, first of all, Al Gore won that election. Just don't forget that. Under any way that you want to cut it won. Yes, he was left office with the highest approval rating I think anybody in since World War II. I can't think of somebody left with higher than he was in the '60s. But but that's alternative history. Unfortunately, in 2000, I'll repeat again, it was widely reported that the United States, economically, culturally, and militarily, was the most ascendant nation since ancient Rome. That was 25 years ago. No one is arguing that now.
Right.
Maybe we made some mistakes.
Well, I would also say in 2000, if we do alternative history, in 2016, Obama would have beaten Trump like a drum. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't think
in
there's any question.
2024, if we'd have had an open process, that's why winnability is everything. That's
Right.
why it's so important to focus on that. And again, to my friends at Daily Kos, I love you. I love you people.
Here's here for Daily Kos. All right. Hey,
All right.
thank you. I cannot thank you enough for those letters.
Yeah, great.
This is our I guess, James, this is really our real maiden voyage for 2026, which we all hope will be better than 2025. But please keep those letters coming in because you make us think, and we love hearing from you.